All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. It is 1 p.m. on Tuesday, April 11th, 2023, and I'd like to welcome you to today's Blitz session with 210 Home Buyers Warranty. Thank you all for being here. As always, for anyone watching this in the future, please be aware that some of this information may have changed, so feel free to contact our training department with any questions. And lastly, as a reminder, this will be recorded. So for both buffering purposes and your privacy, you may want to turn your camera off and mute yourself. And if you have any questions, please feel free to raise your virtual hand or use the chat, and we'll grab our presenters' attention and get them answered right away. With all that said, I'd like to welcome Kim Nelson. Kim, thanks for being here, and it's all yours.
Thank you for having me. Awesome. Okay, thank you so much. Hello, everybody. It's great. Wow, this is a great group. I'm excited to have this group in attendance. So thank you for joining us. I am going to go ahead and start the presentation. And again, if you have questions while we're going through it, let me know. And I'm sure Christian will grab my attention as well if there are. And then, of course, at the end, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those. So I'm going to go ahead and get that pulled up. And Christian, I'm going to make sure that you all can see this. If you can let me know, is that on the screen?
It is on the screen. Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. All right. Well, again, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today during this pretty spring break week. For those of you that I have not met, my name is Kim Nelson, and I am the Hampton Roads representative for 210 Home Buyers Warranty. Also known as affectionately, I'm getting called the warranty lady, so also that as well. My role is to make sure that you have all of the tools and resources that you need to leverage a home warranty to help you win deals. And that is whether you are representing sellers or buyers, whether it's a buyer's market, a seller's market. So I'm here to support you. So please feel free to leverage me, and I want to help you grow your business. Go ahead and get started. So today's agenda. So really, we know the only constant with the housing market right now is that it's ever changing. And that's okay, because you all are amazing professionals at what you do, and you bring in all the tools and resources that you need to help you do your jobs, and you can adapt. I don't expect you to be an expert in home warranty, but I do want to give you some additional knowledge and some best practices that can really help you leverage a warranty and help you grow your business and hopefully gain even more referrals. So today we're going to go over these items. We're going to start with what is a home warranty. What can you do to protect your clients? And that's whether they're buyers and sellers. And also, what can you do to protect your business and your business income? And I'll look briefly at what is and isn't covered. And then also, what should your expectations be working with 210 or working with any home warranty company? And lastly, what is the process that happens when there is a failure and you or your client need to reach out to get some help? So I'm going to go ahead and first start with something that probably seems super basic, but I always like to kind of refresh everyone's memory. So a home warranty is a tool. It's a tool to reduce the homeowner's out-of-pocket costs for breakdowns of covered systems and appliances that occur due to normal wear and tear. And those last words there, normal wear and tear, are really, really key with any home warranty company. So home warranty is meant to be budget protection for the homeowner. It's peace of mind when the unexpected happens. It's protection for your transaction, And it can also be a protection from post-closing disputes. So is everything in a home eligible to be covered by a home warranty? Nope, it is not. But I'm going to give you a way to keep in mind what is, and that's when I want you to think of a peach. So these are kind of the 5 areas that when you're looking at home warranty plans, you should probably see a similarity across most companies. So a home warranty is going to cover the plumbing, the electrical, the appliances, the cooling, and also the heating systems. So just keep peach in mind. We're getting into peach season, and it's a good way to remember it. It's a good acronym. So one thing that I do like to remind agents is that, and as you know, the HVAC system tends to be one of the most expensive, if not most expensive system to repair or replace for a homeowner. So when you are looking at different home warranties, please do yourself a service and make sure that you have a clear understanding of what the HVAC coverage is. To my knowledge, 210 is one of the only home warranty companies that offers 2 different things when it comes to the HVAC system. We offer unlimited refrigerant at no charge, and we also offer what's called SEER matching. And the reason that those 2 are very important is, one, as you probably know, refrigerants can run, I think, anywhere from $150, $200 a pound. And when you have to have 3 or 4 pounds of refrigerant put into the system, it can really add up. So it's important to know that you're not going to have to come out of pocket for that refrigerant. Additionally, refrigerants are changing, so Freon is no longer being made. So as each year, as additional alternative free or refrigerants come on the market, the price also tends to increase with those. So it's a great thing to have unlimited refrigerant, and that's whether we're putting it into the system and charging it, or if it has to be removed from the system for any reason. We also offer something that is called SEER matching. So SEER refers to the seasonal energy efficiency ratios, and those are determined by the EPA. So not by 210, but the government comes out with the guidelines every few years to determine, what is the standard of efficiency. With 210, when part of a system fails in terms of the HVAC system, we're going to make sure that the system in its entirety is compatible. So if your outside condensing unit is on the fritz and needs to be replaced, but your air handler inside the house still working, still doing what it's supposed to do. What happens when we replace the unit outside with a brand new energy efficient system? Well, unfortunately, it can, they'll drag each other. So it's kind of like, I always liken it to, a marathon runner and somebody that's new to running. So they're running the race and they're holding hands and they're going to drag each other down. So the new person's going to really slow down the marathon runner, and the marathon runner is going to completely overexert that new runner. So it's the same thing when you think of systems with HVAC and having non-compatible parts together. So those are 2 things that I do want you to keep in mind that 210 offers, and just make sure that when you're looking at other companies that you know what they offer as well. So how does a home warranty help reduce risk for homeowners and also for you as their realtor? Well, there's a couple of different ways. One is on the seller side. So we have what's called seller coverage, also known as listing coverage. And that is coverage that is going to protect the home from listing. So it can be under the coverage as soon as the listing goes live in the MLS to the closing. And the purpose of seller coverage is a couple of things. One, it can help mitigate the cost of potential breakdowns during the listing period. It also protects the transaction because there's a plan for breakdowns that might occur pre-closing. You and your clients are busy getting the house ready, making sure everything goes seamlessly with the closing process. And sometimes a breakdown can occur. The dishwasher stops working, or the dryer dies one day. So that's really where this listing coverage can kick in and help to offset the costs of either a covered system or appliance having to be repaired or replaced. Listing coverage also is important because it establishes a record of coverage, also known as a history of the home, that can help protect the buyer. If at closing, the buyer then takes over the home warranty. So listing coverage is great in the sense that it can really help with both sides of the deal. And I'm hearing from some buyers agents, they're actually using listing coverage when they write an offer. So something to keep in mind, if you're writing your offer and you want, just another additional way to make it stand out, you can incorporate into the offer that upon ratification of the contract, that the buyer will add listing coverage to the seller's home, of course, with the seller's authorization, to cover the home from ratification of the contract until the closing. So it's a nice way to give a little value added to your seller in that offer. And it also helps to establish that record of coverage, because more than likely, when that contract is ratified, you're still going to have a month, 45 days until the closing. So that gives a really ample amount of time for the listing coverage to be on the home. And of course, if anything happens with one of the covered systems in that time, then the seller is able to submit a service request and find out if that is something that can be covered, and help offset the costs of repair or replacement. I do want you to keep in mind that with 210, we offer two parts to our seller coverage. So we have complimentary coverage, and that covers the appliances, the heating, the electrical, and the plumbing systems. So you can put that alone on all of your listings, and there's nothing out of pocket from the seller, unless they submit a service request. And at that point, they would have an $89 fee that they would pay to a contractor coming out to diagnose. But other than that, there is no cost involved for the seller at that point. And they also do not have to commit to purchasing a warranty for the buyer. So we'd love for the buyer to then take on the warranty, but it is not mandatory. So please keep that in mind. I'd love to see you put listing coverage on all of your listings. It's really a great thing for both sides of the deal, and really a good way to help protect your transaction. The seller can also add coverage for their AC and heat pump if they would like to, and that is a $50 charge, and that can be paid either when the coverage is enrolled, or at closing. But again, it's not mandatory that they purchase anything for the buyer at all. So they can have the seller coverage. They can file a claim. 210 can pay out on a claim, and the seller is not going to owe anything in return other than the service fee, and potentially, if there's certain non-covered costs involved, but there's really no catch with it. So just please keep that in mind. On the other side of the transaction, we have buyer coverage. And buyer coverage, of course, is going to protect the home from closing and beyond. So again, giving peace of mind to potential buyers. Maybe they're moving into a house where the HVAC system is, 10, 15, even 20 years old, and it's working. And the, HVAC tech and the home inspector gave it a thumbs up, all looks good. However, I think there's always that thought in the back of the buyer's mind that, okay, at some point, this may fail on me. So the warranty will help provide some budget protection, from the unexpected and when that does happen down the road. Also can help with reducing post-sale disputes that could have been resolved with the coverage. For buyers, there is also a program called Happy Home Lock and Hardware. Some of you might be familiar with this, but this is actually an immediate benefit of the warranty. So what Happy Home Lock and Hardware is a program where when the buyers move into the home, if they are planning to change locks or rekey or make copies of keys, they can go ahead and do that either themselves. They can go to Home Depot, Lowe's, do it themselves. They can bring in a locksmith. All they need to do is hang on to those receipts. And if they submit those to 210 within 45 days from their closing date, then we will reimburse them up to $100. So it's, essentially it's free money. There's no claim involved. It's super, super easy for them to do online with us. And I think a lot of folks forget about it because there's so much going on after closing. But it's also, I think, a nice way for you as their realtor to be able to call them maybe a week or two after they move in, check on how things are going, and then remind them, you said you were going to change out the front door locks. Don't forget, keep your receipt and submit it to 210 within 45 days, and they'll stroke you a check. So just a nice perk. And again, it shows them really an immediate benefit of the warranty without having to file a claim or do anything. It's painless. I've done the process and it's super, super easy. So the home warranty is really, really meant, whether it's on the seller side or the buyer side, it's to help keep things moving for closing so that your deal stays on track. I'm doing a lot of talking. Does anybody have any questions at this time? Okay. So just going to cover, Karen.
Hi, Gay Deal here is with me as well. Here's her question.
Yes, what were the covered items under the listing under the seller?
Under the seller coverage, the complimentary portion covers the heating, electrical, appliances, and plumbing.
Okay, because then you said you can add a heat pump for $50. Is that just adding heat pump, not a separate air conditioning?
That is going to add the heat pump and the AC unit.
Oh, and the AC unit.
Yes, yes.
Okay, and then if you opt to have a service call at that time on the air conditioning or on the heat pump, then that's covered if you've used that for $50, but you're not obligated to purchase the warranty?
Correct. So yes, absolutely. You're absolutely correct.
Okay.
And I have, I can also, after the meeting, I have some specific information on the listing coverage and the HVAC coverage that you probably would find helpful as well. So I can get everyone's email or ask Haley or Christian or Tim to send that out to you all as well. So you have some more detail on it. And also please reach out to me to discuss any of this. So happy to do that as well. Make sure that, you have a clear understanding of it. Did I answer that for you both? Okay. All right. Thank you
If
for that.
If the heating is a oil boiler, is that capped at a certain amount then during the cellar coverage?
So the cellar coverage has a cap of $1,500 per each system. So it's per the heating, the electrical, the plumbing. And then on the appliance side, it's a $1,500 cap, but that's per covered appliance. So there are dollar limits on the seller coverage that are different from the buyer coverage. So on our buyer side, if somebody has an issue with their heat pump, then it's unlimited. We don't have a dollar cap on that. Whereas on the seller side, there is a $1,500 limit.
And do they have to pay a service fee or anything like that?
Service fee is $89. And then if for some reason the contractor comes out and submits the diagnosis to 210, and if 210 comes back and says, well, that's, it's not a covered item because of whatever reason, the seller can also request their service fee back. We do that for things that are not covered. It does not happen automatically, but if you reach out to me, then I request a refund for the seller. So something else to keep in mind, that's part of what we have. It's called the even if service guarantee. So, and that's also on the buyer's coverage as well. Any other question on that? Okay. Thank you for that. So a couple of things I just want to clarify with, we know what home warranties do cover. They cover a lot, but they don't necessarily cover everything. So, please advise your clients that when they do get the home warranty, just to, go through the service agreement. Look at what's covered, look at what's excluded, look at what the dollar limits are. They're not expected to know everything verbatim, but it's great to just kind of review it and have that idea in your mind of, okay, well, I know that there are dollar limits on certain things, and I know this is covered and this may not be. The home warranty is also not necessarily meant to clean up items from a home inspection. And the reason being is that when the listing coverage or buyer coverage is enrolled, we assume, and this is really any home warranty, we assume that that the systems and appliances are in good and safe working order. So, and as you all know, a lot of times on the home inspection, those are things that, may have been pre-existing for years prior to it. So, and I'm going to touch a little more on the pre-existing because I know there's always a lot of questions with that. And then lastly, home warranty does not necessarily guarantee the fastest service or being at the front of the line. So, and that's kind of where the trade-off is for the benefit of the warranty, in that, you may be able to offset costs. However, it's generally not service that is the same day. So an emergency to a homeowner is sometimes a little bit different than the warranty company's definition. So the way we define an emergency is there's no water, electricity, gas, or toilet service to the home. And I know, with AC season coming up, I get a lot of calls on this with folks because we know it gets super hot here. And sometimes there's going to be a wait. It's not necessarily, you put in the service call and the contractor's at the house in the next hour. Sometimes the whole process can take a few days. During COVID, we saw even longer periods of things getting fixed or parts coming in. So definitely seeing that happen more quickly now. So we're not seeing as many part shortages from manufacturers and appliance shortages, which is great. But just please keep that in mind. That if your client is someone who wants to call their contractor and have them come out an hour later and have things fixed within that day, the warranty is not necessarily the route to go. But if they're willing to use a little bit more time, and possibly have the service repaired at no charge or replaced at no charge, then it's definitely a good investment for them. Let me go here to something else that I know you all do your due diligence when you're preparing your listings to be sold, and then also when you're working with buyers. And there are a couple of things to keep in mind, especially with an HVAC system, to make sure that you can really get the most bang out of the warranty for it. So again, items, we assume that they're in good and safe working order at the start of the warranty. And sometimes there are, things that the buyer or seller didn't realize were wrong. And so I always recommend, if it's not a brand new HVAC system, then, have the home inspection done. But the home inspector can't necessarily do all the things that the HVAC tech can do in terms of checking it. So, they can't necessarily open it up and look inside and do all the mechanical tests. So if you're working with an older HVAC system, I highly, highly recommend that buyers have a tech come out and just do the full visual and mechanical inspection. Make sure that it's being, maintained, because that's another thing that could cause a denial in coverage. If something is not being maintained at all, then that is not necessarily a failure due to normal wear and tear. That's more of a failure that might have happened due to neglect. So just a few things to keep in mind, when you're discussing the home warranty with your clients. And again, I know you all do your due diligence, so just keep on doing that. And, that way we can try to make sure that your clients are getting the most out of the home warranty. And again, with pre-existing conditions, so the way that Karen, yes.
Hi, this is another question from Gay Deal.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Was there a limit on the number of zones of equipment, say in a heat pump, that are covered?
So under our warranty, we cover two systems. So that would be basically, two systems that both have 2 units, if that makes sense.
It does and it doesn't, yes. So in other words, if it has, if you have 2 heat pumps, then it covers both heat pumps.
Yes.
But if you have 2, are you talking about 2 of the same types of systems, or?
Yes. We have, so on the AC and heat pump, we do cover up to 2 systems. So are you talking about like where you'd have maybe an upstairs and a downstairs, or?
Yeah, 2 zones, like if you have an upstairs heat pump and a downstairs heat pump, or you could have, 2, for AC, you could have 2 AC, and you could have gas heat on 2 zones and 2 zones of AC, or you could have, but if you have 3 heat pumps, for instance, then if one heat pump fails and the second one fails, then that's it. Is that correct?
Yes. So yeah, if there's more than 2 systems in the home, then basically the warranty is going to cover whichever 2 have an issue first.
Okay.
So, and on your traditional AC heat pump system, there is no dollar limit. If you're talking about a geothermal or water source system, then there's a $1,500 limit on what we pay out to diagnose, repair, or replace. And my understanding with those is that there's just, it's a little bit different in terms of the technical knowledge needed to work on those. And so that's why they're a little bit different in terms of the coverage, or a lot different actually in terms of the coverage. But yeah, on the systems, if there's more than two, actually I was speaking with someone who had four or five systems for their home, and obviously it was a large home as well. And yes, so we'll cover whichever are the first two that have any sort of issue with them. Does that answer, Karen and Gay?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So just quickly touching on the pre-existing items. If a system or appliance has existing defects or malfunctions that could have been identified by a qualified professional prior to the warranty becoming effective, then that would probably not be eligible for coverage. However, the warranty may cover it if it is something that couldn't have been found, by the technician, essentially, with a visual inspection or mechanical test. So typically, if a contractor comes back and says, well, this was pre-existing, those are things that are normally not going to be covered. But if it's something where even a technician coming out and looking at it, they didn't find anything wrong with it, then that's definitely going to be a maybe and a not necessarily 100% denial. So, but those are the kinds of things that really the determinations are made on a case-by-case basis, just depending on the individual situation. So let's look at the claims process. I know some of you are probably familiar with how our process is and other home warranty companies. So what happens when a failure occurs due to normal wear and tear? The homeowner will submit a service request. I always tell folks submitting it online in the homeowner portal, that is going to be the fastest and most efficient way to do that. They can also call in to our customer service, and then during non-business hours, so evenings and weekends, we also have an automated line that can be used to file claims. But the homeowner portal is always going to be your best bet to do it in, I think that I did one last week. It was maybe 75 seconds for me to go ahead and put in my claim. At that point, 210 will assign one of our network contractors, and they have 2 business days or 48 business hours to reach out to the homeowner to schedule an appointment. When the homeowner submits their service request, they will get the name and phone number of the contractor assigned. So my advice is go ahead and put a call into the contractor. Good chance that that'll get the ball rolling more quickly for you to have them come out. The contractor will come out, they'll ask for the service fee, and then they will make their diagnosis and submit that to 210. Our team then reviews the diagnosis and determines if it's a covered item. If it is a covered item, what are the next steps? So home warranty companies will typically always try to make a repair if something is repairable first, and then replacement, would be the next step if repair is not an option. The covered items are typically going to be resolved in either one of 2 ways. Either the contractor is going to, make the repair, or we're going to replace the item and they will install it. Or if it's a case where the homeowner, doesn't like the model of refrigerator that we are going to purchase for them, or, you know, they've always wanted this, you know, super fancy stove, and now they have the opportunity to get it. So sometimes they'll take the cash in lieu of the replacement item. When we replace an item such as an appliance, let's say your refrigerator, we always do that based on matching the primary function first. And of course, for a refrigerator, the primary function is going to be to keep, you know, items cold and frozen. So, and then the color is the next that we work to match. Hey, Carl.
Hello, how are you, Kim?
I'm good. How are you?
It's been a long time. I did not have a question. I was just playing around with the buttons and accidentally raised my hand. But it's nice to talk to you.
Oh, well, I'm happy to hear from you. So thank you.
Back from the newspaper days.
Yes, sir. You guys are still, you can still get stuck with me. So,
Yes.
all right. Thank you. And then I know we're kind of moving towards the end of our time, but I did want to share a couple of important things about expectations with your customers. So it's really important to set the expectations for homeowners. And when you do that up front, it helps to alleviate some of the potential headaches, you know, down the road, because I know you know, when something's wrong with your buyer's house, when they just moved in, you're probably, you know, the first person that they're going to call, and, you know, creates stress for you. I know that. But, you know, the warranty is meant to help reduce out-of-pocket costs for repairs and replacement of covered items. So when it comes to costs, there is sometimes a service, well, there's always a service fee for something that we can repair or replace. Sometimes there are also non-covered costs that, you know, 210 will say, okay, well, we are covering, you know, $2,000, but there's $223 that is, you know, not part of your plan. So there will be occasionally out-of-pocket costs for the homeowner. In addition, if a homeowner decides that they don't want to use our network of contractors and they go out of network, I will tell you that is always going to be a higher cost for the homeowner because 210 negotiates pricing for parts, labor, as well as, you know, replacement appliances and systems. And so we're paying wholesale costs, and when your customer uses an out-of-network contractor, they are going to be charged retail costs. So even when we reimburse them for covered items, it will be at wholesale pricing versus the retail pricing that they've probably been charged. Also, and I just touched on, you know, when it comes to replacements, so our, you know, goal is always to make sure that we're replacing based on primary function and then color matching. So it may not necessarily be the same brand as what the homeowner had. We work with, you know, Whirlpool, GE, some other appliance manufacturers. So if the item was another brand, then it's possible that we would be replacing it with something different. Also, you know, keep in mind, our contractors typically work normal business hours. So Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, 7 to 5. But if a customer places their claim over the weekend, then, you know, more than likely they may not get in touch with the contractor until that Monday. And then I talked about, you know, when is a claim considered an emergency? So that really means that there's no water, no gas, no electricity to the home. There's no toilet facilities. So just a few things to keep in mind. on that as well, just to, you know, I like to set the expectations up front. I think it, you know, tends to help with problems later on. And how do agents enroll coverage? So agents can enroll coverage for yourselves or for your clients. If you are interested in enrolling your personal residents, you can reach out to me, or you can also call our agent services line. And please, 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 if you call in to 210 at all, and without going one of these two routes, please let them know that you are a real estate agent, because that makes you eligible for our realtor product, which is much better pricing and packaging than what someone, you know, calling into 210 directly can get. So the product that we offer through your offices is really kind of the Cadillac of our coverage. So not everyone is eligible for that. That's something that your clients can only get exclusively through you. And then if you are enrolling your buyers or sellers, we have a great agent portal at 2-10.com/agent. You can call our agent services, or you can contact me. I'm always happy to help you enroll. I know sometimes you're out on the road and away from your computer and need to get an enrollment in, and we can, you know, do that over the phone or whatever the best method is for you that makes it easiest for you. I will share also, if you have not registered your agent portal, that it is not just for enrolling. We have some cool marketing tools in there that you can access. And if you don't have an agent portal set up, I can set that up for you. You just let me know. I can send you your login credentials and you can see what's in there. But we have things like a monthly newsletter and a maintenance guide that you can actually, you know, put your name, your photo, your contact information, the company logo on, so that those are branded to you. And it's basically, you know, complimentary content from 210 that you can use in your business. The portal is also the location where you can see your client dashboard. So any clients that you've enrolled in listing coverage or buyer coverage, you'll be able to see all of those in one place. You can also see if they have submitted a claim, what that claim was for. So it gives you, you know, a little bit more insight just into what's happening with your clients. And then I'll leave that up to you if you want to reach out to them for any of those claims. But at least you're in the know of what's going on. And again, if you don't have your agent portal in place, I am happy to set that up for you. And lastly, I want to thank you for this time. Very much appreciated. I'm here as a resource for you. Always happy to meet, you know, come to your office, meet for coffee, and make sure that you have all the tools that you need from me to help you utilize the warranty in a way that's going to benefit your business. Are there any other questions that I can answer?
Anything? All right. Well, thank you so much, Kim.